if there's somebody at the bar that you hope to run into, is there anyone in particular this year?
Oh man, I think just for the story, it's got to be Timothée Chalamet.
100%.
He's the man of the moment, for better or worse, right now.
All right. Welcome back to a very special episode, Hondo's Blockbuster here, and we are joined by a very, very special guest. He is from The Hollywood Reporter, but most importantly, one, we share the same first name, and two, he is family, Mr. David Canfield. Welcome to Hondo's Blockbuster, my friend.
Thank you, Mr. Hondo. Long time coming.
Yes, this is a long time coming, and I'm excited today. Obviously, we'll kick off. I want to talk a little bit about, you and everything you're doing at Hollywood Reporter, but obviously definitely want to, the big movie event is happening this weekend, the Oscars, the Academy Awards, and I know you've been, Dave, how many, what number is this going to be for you?
This is going to be my 5th year in person.
Nice. So we're going to go through some of the big categories. There's honestly, this feels like one of the closest, like in terms of some of these races, like we really don't know who's going to win until Sunday. And obviously some of them are decided pretty much, not officially, but as official as it gets. So excited to talk about it. But first, David, wanted to kind of just hand it off to you. Introduce yourself and tell the listeners a little bit about what you do at the Hollywood Reporter.
Sure. So as you noted, I've been doing this for a number of years now. Over the last, I would say, what has it been? Not even a year, like 6 or 7 months I've been at the Hollywood Reporter. I interview actors. I cover awards season. I go to all those events, which is way less glamorous for journalists than it looks on TV. I promise you. They shove us to the back and tables where we can barely see. It's awesome. So I interview a lot of the contenders. I predict. That's not like my main thing to do, although I'd like to think I'm not too bad at it. And then I do reporting. I cover films, film festivals, some TV shows. I've been at a couple other publications, so I've been doing this for a little over a decade now, somehow. But yeah, it's a cool job. I feel very lucky to get to do it.
That is awesome. I do want to highlight one that recently came out, and I know I messaged you about it a few weeks ago, but you did get a chance to essentially hang out with Ryan Coogler and do a great story on him. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about like that experience, like essentially, and excuse my ignorance on this, but is that literally like, are you just hanging out with him a day and then like how does that work? Or is it just a sit down interview? Like what's that whole process like?
Man, it really depends. This was a cover story that I was really, really excited to get to do because I love Sinners. I've been a huge fan of Ryan Coogler for a long time. He obviously made history with Sinners. It's the most Oscar nominated film ever. And so, in that case, it's a matter of booking the interview, him saying yes. There's obviously a big photo shoot component to it. And as I noted in the story, he's actually really deep on his next project, which is a revival of the X-Files. So it took some time to just kind of find a day where he was not going to be writing all day. So me and the photo team went up to Oakland, which is where he lives. It's where he grew up. And it's where his offices are as well. And we had coffee. He had a bagel and lox. It was a really special experience. I've had some covers, and again, it really depends on the person. I did a cover story on Scarlett Johansson for Vanity Fair last year, and that one was, I had no idea how much time I had. I was, she's a big star. I didn't really know what to expect. I'd never interviewed her before, and we ended up spending the day together and all kind of walking all over the Upper East Side of New York, and that was the kind of thing that for a journalist, that's a real gift, but it's nothing that's typically guaranteed. And Ryan Coogler is somebody who, he had more of a schedule, but hopefully as the story shows, we got a lot of time with him. We went over his whole career, and he's one of my favorite people I've interviewed, a really genuine guy, really thoughtful guy, and kind of a genius too.
That's awesome. Actually, that kind of leads me to my next one. I was wondering, is there anybody that you've had a chance to interview that not necessarily shocked you, but kind of like what you mentioned with Scarlett Johansson, that you did get a chance to spend the whole day with her. Like, was there anybody that kind of not necessarily caught you by surprise in terms of maybe how interesting they were or just how they were as a person that might have not been what you might have thought, something like that?
Yeah, it happens all the time. It in a way, because it's always surprising one way or another. It's hard to be surprised. I remember, one person I've interviewed a couple times over the years is Kate Hudson, who's nominated this year for Song Sung Blue. And I interviewed her for the first time for a movie called Glass Onion, that was the Knives Out sequel that Rian Johnson directed. And again, just had not interviewed her, not kind of in my space. Like, obviously, she's made a kind of career pivot over the last few years, but she had done mostly rom-coms to that point. So I was like, I don't know how we'll vibe. And she was just really fun, really chill, ordered food. A lot of them don't order food. Ate the food, another milestone cleared.
Yeah.
And then, like, last time I did a story on her, like, we had martinis. And
that's awesome.
So she's someone where now it's not a surprise, but I've built a bit of a rapport with her, and I know that we'll actually get to have fun, and it'll be an enjoyable conversation, because I'm describing good experiences, but a lot of times it is kind of like you're sitting opposite a famous person. There is somebody in your orbit looking at their watch, wondering when your time is up, and then it's over. And it's not the most intimate experience, let's say. But those are examples of when it goes in a nice direction.
That's how. Listen, you can go say hi to her at the Oscars this weekend. So
Indeed, I hope to. It can be hard to get through the other famous people who want to say hi. But
exactly. They're there for you, David. All right.
Yes, so I tell myself. So
before we move on to the Oscar predictions, I do want to talk a little bit about like attending the Oscars. Right? Is it, as like you mentioned, like some of these events, they sometimes put the journalists in the back, things like that. Is the Oscars like one of those events that you do look forward to? Like, is it fun, or is that as glamorous as it seems on TV, or obviously you're there doing a job, but like, is it at least you get to have some fun there?
So I remember the first season I covered was 2019 into 2020, like right before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the shows that I went to, like the Golden Globes and the Spirit Awards, it's kind of like, like it's, I was a young kind of green reporter, and I was super excited to get to just do that. But I was like, is this something I have to do every year? And you got to put on a tuxedo most of the time. And it's like, it's a lot of hassle for very little reward. But there is something different and really undeniably like special about the Oscars. Like, first of all, people don't realize that they're in a mall. Like, it's on Hollywood and Highland. Yep. There's like a Dave & Buster's like two doors down.
Yep. I've been to that Dave & Buster's, actually.
It's one of the best. It does kind of create, though, like this weird Hollywoody vibe that you might not expect, where it is so bizarre and over the top. And then you get there and there's this huge red carpet, and they have the lists of all the best picture winners over the years on these plaques. Everyone looks the best that they've ever looked. Hopefully me included, although probably not. I don't have like a very expensive hair and makeup team, so we got to do what we can.
We got to get on that.
But yeah, it's an occasion. Like it feels special. And then in terms of like the specifics of why it's a little different for journalists from other shows, it's a theater, so it's not like dinner tables, which is a lot of what these shows are. So we're seated in rows. I used to work at Vanity Fair, and we got really good seats. I don't know that I'll get as good a seat this time. But then all the talent, all the celebrities and stuff, a lot of times they're just at the bar. And so there's actually more of a communal atmosphere to the Oscars, because it's the last one and everyone's guard is a little bit more down. Yeah. And so you can kind of just be in their midst in a way that is harder at other shows.
That's cool. Listen, if there's somebody at the bar that you hope to run into, is there anyone in particular this year?
Oh man, I think just for the story, it's got to be Timothée Chalamet. 100%. Like he's the man of the moment, for better or worse, right now.
He is. Well, David, I'm glad you brought up Timothée Chalamet, because we are jumping into Oscar predictions, and the first category up is going to be Best Actor. All right, because this is one that has seen the biggest change from what I mean. The two supporting categories are as tight as it comes, but this one didn't expect to be that tight. At least leading up until probably a couple weeks ago, Michael B. Jordan was picking up some momentum, and then now it seems like he's the favorite to win. I don't know what to think because I'm a big Timmy guy, right? I've been pushing Marty. I love the Marty Supreme. I do think that he is the best performance of the year, right? But obviously a lot, and you'll know better than anybody. The Oscars might be more about campaigning than it is, than anything, right? Like Timmy, like you mentioned, better or worse, has been in the news. It feels like every week. And does that, how much of an effect does that really have? Do you think he still has a shot to win? So I will tee you up for Best Actor. Not only who you think's going to win, but talk a little bit about, the Michael B. Jordan. Really, it looks like it's Michael B. Jordan or Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, I think that's right. Right now, I'm predicting Michael B. Jordan, and I'm just kind of going by stats and the way that this works, in that Timothée Chalamet lost the Actor Award, formerly known as the SAG Award, and the BAFTA Award. And that's important because those are the only two voting bodies, we call them precursor groups, that are actually industry voted and have membership overlap with the Academy, who votes on the Oscars. So the fact that he didn't win with either group indicates he may not have the industry support we thought he would have. The last time an actor won this category without either of them was Sean Penn, ironically, because we're going to talk about him a little bit later, for the movie Mystic River, and that was over 20 years ago. So the odds are against him. Yeah. I wrote about this a little bit last week, the kind of what happened to Timothy, because you're 100% right. When I saw that movie, I was like, this is it. He's going to win.
Come on,
he's like
it's so good.
The man who has saved Hollywood, basically. He can open an original movie. Very few. I mean, Michael B. Jordan arguably has been able to do that as well.
For sure.
But obviously, Timothy is kind of in his own class just in terms of the scale of these movies, the range of movies he's been able to do, like Wonka even. I mean, he's kind of done it all in a very short period of time. And I think the industry respects that. He tends to campaign in an unusual way.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you've noticed that.
Yes.
And there are people who love that. You have to keep in mind that the Academy has a lot of old school, old guard kind of people who may not love the, cusp Gen Z energy that's being thrown at them. Yeah. And I've personally heard from some voters who are a little put off by it, and I know a lot of my colleagues have as well. So that's one factor. I think that Marty Supreme, critics really liked it. It did really well at the box office, but for whatever reason, it just seems like the industry has not been as warm to it. Like, it looks like if Timmy does win, he'll be the only winner for that movie, which is also why he's in a tougher spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a weird one. I still thought he would win the SAG Award the Actor Award, excuse me. I'm still getting used to that change. Because, Michael B. Jordan hadn't popped up anywhere. Yeah. And it's the kind of thing where when you see him win that award and Viola Davis gets so excited and the whole room really gets behind him, and then it starts to be like, right, he played Twins. He too has been a real force in Hollywood for a 100%. Long time and has really made his name. And the movie is so strong. And so then it all starts to be like, oh, maybe this is a little bit more obvious than I thought, because, Chalamet wins the Golden Globe and these awards that are not really voted on by the industry, but can still, present a front runner. The last thing I'll say is I'm interested in Wagner Moura. I think he's a wild card in a wild race. He also won a Golden Globe. Yep. He actually beat Michael B. Jordan in that race. And The Secret Agent is a movie that the Academy liked a lot more than other groups. And so if it stands to reason that, more people are voting for that movie than were in other bodies, then he might just have a chance to pull off a huge upset. We'll see. That's
a great point, because Wagner Moura did beat Michael B. Jordan in the Golden Globe. And obviously the Golden Globes aren't a guaranteed, like you mentioned, it's more of the actor awards and the BAFTAs. But I don't know, man. For me, I'm in the camp that I loved his campaign for Marty Supreme. I thought it was so different.
Same.
That it was just so fun. It was so like unique and it worked, right? Like you mentioned, like it was a box office success, an A24 movie that I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's at either crossed the 200 million or get like close to it.
It's getting there, yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I think it's fun. It's different. But like you mentioned, right? Like, the Academy. There are a lot of the old guard, the traditional, like the more traditional route to promote things, and obviously, his campaign. And in my opinion, I'm curious to get your thoughts because I think this whole the opera thing is so overblown. Come on. I mean, I get it. Yes, like I get why people would get offended, but it's not like the worst thing anyone's ever said. Like, it's like, what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know. To me, it seems overblown. I think Timothée Chalamet was the best performer. Like, and by the way, I do want to say Michael B. Jordan and Sinners is picking up a lot of heat. And Michael B. Jordan is fantastic in that movie. I don't want to, like, him winning it wouldn't be like, oh my God, like, the biggest snub of all time. But like, for me, I don't know. I think like Timmy is like, this was the one that for me, I thought was going to be a surefire hit for like he's doing it. His what was his speech? It was like he's here to
want to be one of the greats,
or one of the greats, exactly. So I thought this was going to be a moment. I did see a tweet that kind of said it perfectly, that him not winning the Oscar would be the ultimate Marty Mauser move. So maybe it just kind of
I saw that too, and there is some unfortunate truth to that.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, the other thing to note is like, it's something that is not even necessarily Timmy related. The Academy has given Best Actress to a woman under 30 more than 30 times. They have given Best Actor to a man under 30 once. And Adrian Brody was 29 years old when he won for The Pianist. They're just really, really hard on young guys. DiCaprio, Will Smith, you think of these guys who were movie stars getting nominated for decades. They didn't win until they were in their 40s and 50s. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Timothée Chalamet. I hope it doesn't. But he is currently 30 years old. He would be the second youngest winner ever. And it's just a hurdle. They just have a thing about famous young guys. I don't know what it is, but it's a problem.
Yeah. Well, actually, one thing before we move on to the next one, what's funny? You obviously mentioned Leo, and Leo is somebody who lives here in the nominations. At first, it was actually looking like Leo was kind of like the second. It looked like it was going to be Timothée Chalamet versus Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's kind of just fallen off, which I don't really understand why, especially with the fact that One Battle is getting. I mean, it's between One Battle and Sinners in terms of the movie with the most hype right now. So I don't really understand why he's kind of dropped. I don't know if it's just because he's so good in everything and they're just like kind of like, it's almost like a boring thing to pick him, but he was so good in One Battle.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. That I thought, and even, I mean, I remember, I know some people at A24, like the expectation was that this race would be between Timmy and Leo.
Yep.
And pretty quickly, Leo just fell off. And he actually, he campaigned. He's really been out there for the movie. I think he just gets taken for granted. I think you're right. I think that there is something about how famous and how good he's always been, where like he won an Oscar for The Revenant because he like ate raw bison liver and like nearly died. I guess that was like the whole point of that campaign, which was wild. But that's kind of what it took for him. And he can be, he's a really versatile actor. I think in One Battle, he's so funny. And it's very heartfelt as well. Like, to me, it checks all the boxes, but it does seem like if he's not like doing this completely transformative, demanding, like honestly ugly work, like work that just kind of deglams him. Yeah. Even though One Battle does to an extent, it doesn't do like what The Revenant does. They just kind of look past him. That said, this race is so crazy. If One Battle has a huge night, because I don't think Michael B. Jordan is like the strongest frontrunner by any means, I could see Leo winning too. Honestly, I think all these guys, except probably Ethan Hawke at this point, are in it. I wouldn't feel comfortable ruling anybody out.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And I know, again, I can't help myself. I keep saying that was the last thing. I've got one last thing for you here on this one, David, because
it's a good race. Go for it.
Well, because actually I want to talk about somebody who wasn't nominated in this race that I thought should have been nominated. And I wanted to ask you because I know you held a screening for this movie, and that is The Rock in The Smashing Machine.
Yeah.
I thought he was incredible. In my opinion, that was
Me too.
my actual, like my second favorite performance of the year. I thought he should have gotten the nomination. I don't know. It seemed like when the movie was just coming out, he seemed to be in that race, and then it kind of dropped off. I know not everyone loved the movie. I thought the movie was great, and I thought if we're just talking performance, he and Emily Blunt were both phenomenal. So I wish he would have gotten some love on this one.
Yeah, I think that the movie just, it didn't do well at the box office, and it came out early enough in the year where when those headlines start taking over, it's just kind of a vibe shift. He had a shot, though. I think it was, all the guys were talking about really, really great performances, so it was just a really tough year. And the whole point of his campaign was this is his first time making a movie. Like, this is his first time campaigning for an Oscar, or his first time even being considered. And so he gets the Golden Globe nomination. To your point, he's really, really good in the movie, and hopefully kind of sets him up to get in there down the line.
Hopefully. I'm with you. So with that, let's move on to a category that is pretty much set in stone, but we'll move on to Best Actress real quickly.
It must be.
Because unless you think that there could be an absolute shock, I think Jessie Buckley's got this thing on absolute lock. I don't think there's anyone going to take her down. She was so incredible. And, there's a bunch of great performances like in the year, but she is, there's no stopping her, right? Like, she's winning this thing.
It's over. It's over. She has won everything. She's amazing in the movie.
Yeah.
People really love Hamnet, and it's not really going to win anywhere else. So it's also an easy way to reward the movie, barring like a big surprise somewhere else. It's done. She's somebody who, she's a real actor's actor. She doesn't, she's not especially famous. She's not somebody who's like interested in the fame part of it at all, but it's her second nomination. She's been working with a lot of great directors over the years. So it all lined up very well for her here.
Yeah. That's pretty much all I've got here because it is such a lock. We can talk about some. I thought Emma Stone was great. Rose Byrne. I haven't seen the movie, but I know she got the Globe nomination. I've heard she's great.
She won the Globe. Rose Byrne.
Oh, sorry, she won the Globe. Yeah, she won the Globe.
Yeah.
I think Jessie Buckley's just an unstoppable force right now. So.
Yep.
So with that, we will jump to Best Supporting Actress because this is one that I think might be the tightest of the races. Once Poochie pulls it up.
Suspense is killing me.
So this is one that, I think 4 of these nominees have won different awards, right? Tiana Taylor and I think Elle Fanning won the other Globe, right? Was it Elle Fanning that won?
Tiana Taylor won the Globe, and then Amy Madigan won Critics' Choice and the Actor Award, and Wumi Masaku from Sinners won the BAFTA. So that's where we're at.
So those are the kind of the 3 main ones. Is there any one you lean? I think Amy Madigan is considered the favorite. I haven't seen Weapons. I'm not a horror movie guy. I know I definitely got to check it out. But do you think she's got it, or who's your prediction here?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Amy Madigan. It's weird because, Wumi Masaku is in Sinners and Tiana Taylor's in One Battle After Another, and those are the best picture frontrunners. And kind of how we were talking about Michael B. Jordan and even Jessie Buckley, because Hamnet's probably number 3. The stronger the movie, the more likely you are to win. But people just love Amy Madigan. They really do. Actors love Amy Madigan especially. A friend of mine moderated a Q&A with her here in LA right before the SAG Awards, right before the Actor Awards. And she was like, well, I know she's winning the Actor Award. After that, because like the amount of famous people who were there, the amount of enthusiasm in the room, like you can just kind of feel when the industry is getting behind somebody. That said, like that can be kind of there can be a misdirect there because the way that the Academy works now, the way that the voting body has changed is it's really international. And it's hard to track where those voters are going. And so Wumi Masaku, who is British, winning BAFTA for a movie that's really strong is a very compelling case for her, and she's really good in that movie. And I think Tiana Taylor is totally in it too. Again, kind of how we were talking about Leo. A big night for one battle means a big night for her potentially. I don't know.
100%.
Yeah, it's really tight. I don't know. I think that statistically, it would be hard to bet on Amy Madigan because she's the only nomination for the movie. But it's just kind of there's.
That's the
I've just heard so much love for her that I think she's got it.
Yeah, Wunmi Masaku. I thought she. I mean, out of the movie again, I haven't seen Weapons, so I thought she was phenomenal. I'm glad she won the BAFTA. But like just everything I'm hearing of Amy Madigan, like you said, like it feels like that's the vibe right now, and that's kind of what everyone's backing. But like you said, like if Sinners or One Battle do have a big night as one of them is expected, or maybe, it could be. Do you think it's like a situation where it's like so many, like they're almost splitting votes at this point that somebody else could because like if half the people are going for Sinners, half people are going for One Battle, like do you think that hurts either of them or really any of the performances, and like somebody like Amy Madigan will jump up? I don't know.
Totally. There's a great podcaster on the Ankler who's my old boss. His name is Chris Rosen. And I don't know why this is stuck in my head, but when he was predicting nominations, he was very sure that Kate Hudson would be nominated for Best Actress. And I was too. And I hadn't articulated it the way he did. He said she was the apple in a bag of oranges. And I think that is such a good way of thinking about voting sometimes, is when there's somebody who stands out, who's different. Kate Hudson was in this biopic. She was in a much broader, more commercial movie than like Hamnet or the Rose Byrne movie, which is not for everybody. And this is a similar kind of thing where like One Battle and Sinners are these, big budget, auteur-driven, Oscar frontrunners. Sentimental Value is 2 nominees here, Inga Ipsdottir Ilias and Elle Fanning. So they're splitting just by the nature of it.
Yep.
And then Amy Madigan is just this industry legend. Oh, and the other thing is like Amy Madigan is the only person here who's been nominated before. She was nominated 40 years ago.
Wow.
So she's this industry icon who's had this amazing comeback. I don't think I knew fully about your horror thing, but she will definitely haunt your dreams. So good instincts there.
Yeah.
But she is amazing in it. I think you would probably be like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Because I think you nailed it. She totally stands out. As good as those other actresses are, she's like the big horror movie villain. And I think, as we're going to talk about with supporting actor in a minute, sometimes being the antagonist, being the person that you kind of love to hate, can be a really compelling case for an Oscar.
No, I agree with you 100%. And it's funny too, is like the Oscars doesn't usually reward horror movies, but like the villain angle is very interesting because they do reward, especially in supporting, a lot of villains, right? Like that, giving a compelling villain performance, it works. so yeah,
it works.
I'm excited to see this one. So yeah, Best Supporting Actress. We'll see. And honestly, when we move on now to Best Supporting Actor, it's kind of a very similar thing. I think right now there's a bit more of a front runner than anything in terms of kind of Sean Penn has jumped back into the conversation because it seemed like he was out of it after I think Skarsgård won the Globe, and then Elordi won one of them too, I believe.
Critics' Choice,
Choice, and then Sean Penn comes and I believe he won BAFTAs, right? Or the
actor. He won both,
okay.
Yeah.
So is Sean Penn bringing it home, or because I've heard some things about Delroy? Oh my God, I don't want to mispronounce Delroy Lindo. I've heard some rumblings that people think that he can, because he was a bit of a sneak in nominee, right? Like not everybody was predicting him to get nominated, and then now obviously with a lot of Sinners hype, do you think he's even got a chance, or do you think Sean Penn's got this one in the bag?
It's closer than I think you might realize based on the math. Because the weird thing about Delroy Lindo is he was not nominated anywhere else.
Exactly.
So he's never been up against Sean Penn or Jacob Elordi or Benicio del Toro, like none of these guys. He came You could say he came out of nowhere. Some people saw it coming, but he definitely was a surprise, like one of the biggest surprise nominations. And he kind of to what I was saying about Amy Madigan, he's like an industry legend. And he's somebody who has been working a long time, a lot of Spike Lee movies from decades ago. He was kind of famously snubbed for Defy Bloods just a few years ago. So this is his first ever nomination. And because he has this really interesting, kind of important role in Sinners, it was kind of weird how he wasn't showing up given how well the movie was doing. So it's good he's nominated here. And I think suddenly there's been all this focus on his career, how good he is in the movie. It really depends on if Sinners has a big night. Like, I think that Sean Penn, because of the fact that he's won both of those industry awards, the actor award and the BAFTA, like, it's hard to bet against him. It's funny because Sean Penn, I don't know how much he wants this. He already has 2 Oscars. He didn't show up to the BAFTAs or the actor awards.
Did he? I think he did show up to the Globes because I think I remember seeing.
Yeah, he was like smoking. He was like smoking inside.
Yeah.
That's our evidence for he went to one of these. So whether I'm sure he'll go to the Oscars, but he's not. He's not begging for it. But Delroy Lindo has been out there. He's been really out there. He's been kind of the spokesperson for the movie. Sinners won the Best Ensemble Award at the Actor Awards, and he was the one who spoke on the movie's behalf. There was obviously a really unfortunate incident at BAFTA where someone with Tourette's hurled the N-word inadvertently at him and Michael B. Jordan, and they handled that moment really with a lot of grace and patience, I think is the best way to put it. And that got a lot of attention. So he's just been in the news a lot in a way that I think helps. But yeah, I'm predicting Sean Penn, but I do think that there's a case to be made for Delroy Lindo for sure.
I'm glad you brought that up, David, because it a very similar thing, right? Because obviously, like you mentioned, it was him and Michael B. Jordan, right? And so Michael B. Jordan has also been in the news for the same reason. I wonder, is there any, seeing that, and then I know we're going back to Best Actor. I can't help myself. But then compared to the news where with Timothée Chalamet, are those do those have an effect? Really, how big of an effect do these stories have on these votes?
So with Timmy, that happened weeks ago. That town hall where he said those things about opera ballet, which regardless of what you feel about it, people feel a certain way.
Yes, 100%.
But that really went viral and was discovered online genuinely hours before voting ended.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard to say that would have much of an impact. I'm sure the true stands will be yelling at everybody who got mad about it. But the fact is, if he loses the Oscar, he will have already lost it, right?
Yeah.
That's too tight. The BAFTAs incident is just really complicated, and there's a part of me that doesn't love talking about it in that context, just because it was such an unfortunate, horrible incident. But I think what you saw at the Actor Awards, when people see someone like Michael B. Jordan win out of nowhere, see Delroy Lindo speaking on behalf of the movie when it wins a really tight award, and you can feel the love in the room. And there was a lot of, I think, sympathy in the room, a lot of empathy for that moment had happened a week earlier. And so it's perhaps an indication that there's just, a lot of support for this cast that for the most part have been in the industry for a long time and have never really gotten this kind of exposure or recognition before. So, it's a weird one, but I think that the evidence is there that these moments of people banding around them are pretty clear.
Yeah. Cool. Well, listen, I think we'll get to the next one, which is going to be Best Director, but I think the kind of biggest through line, and that's going to specifically affect these next two, which we're going to go into, Best Director, then Best Picture, is how big of a night one of these two movies might have, right?
Yep.
Sinners and One Battle After Another. And then I think, we'll start here with Best Director. Again, it's another one that seems to be a two-horse race. I mean, PTA has been winning a lot of them, but Coogler, did Coogler pick up a PGA, right? Or was that for writing?
He won a WGA, yeah.
WGA,
Writers Guild, yeah.
Writers Guild. So, but like you mentioned, and if Sinners does have a big night and it does have this surge, like Ryan Coogler can absolutely still win this thing. I would predict PTA probably still wins, but I think Ryan Coogler does have a chance.
Me too. I mean, between picture and director, which often overlap but not always, picture is closer. Like Paul Thomas Anderson is a clear. Yeah, I think Paul Thomas Anderson is a clearer front runner than One Battle is, if that makes sense.
It does.
Just because, Paul Thomas Anderson won the Directors Guild Award, which tends to forecast who wins the Best Director Oscar. Not always, again, but usually. And the one thing that I will say for Ryan Coogler is he's done a lot of press, including, as you mentioned, with me.
Yep.
He's somebody who's, I thought, really beautifully spoken about, like, just kind of learning how to advocate for himself, for his work, for his collaborators, something he wasn't always comfortable with, been making movies a long time and really didn't do a lot of outside stuff and didn't kind of understand how to balance the actual making movies with the talking about the movies. And so he has really been out there as like the face of Sinners. And that is obviously a movie and a success story that's super important to Hollywood as movies are struggling at the box office. That was such an incredible, exception. Paul Thomas Anderson does not do that stuff. Like he will give nice speeches and he will let the movie speak for itself. And it is, no judgment from me at all, but it's two very different styles. And so while he is ahead because he's, I think it's just he's had a longer career. He's never won an Oscar. He's been nominated like 1 million times over, 20 plus years. He has a claim to kind of, this is his moment in the same way Christopher Nolan had his a few years ago. It's a pretty similar dynamic. But the movie that people compare Sinners to as like a what if is Parasite, because Parasite won the actor award for ensemble. It didn't win much else, but that moment in the room was so electric. And you could feel the energy that not only did it win Best Picture, but Bong Joon-ho won Best Director over Sam Mendes for 1917, who was considered a very strong favorite.
Yeah.
So, to your point, because of that, there's totally a chance that Ryan Coogler wins. I guess the way I would phrase it is, if Ryan Coogler wins Best Director, Sinners is 100% winning Best Picture, in the same way that when Bong Joon-ho won Best Director, Parasite was 100% winning Best Picture. If Paul Thomas Anderson wins Best Director, One Battle is probably winning Best Picture, but it's possible there's a split there. I don't think it's possible that there's a split in the opposite direction.
Yeah, no, I'm with you completely. The Parasite one is a great comparison because you're right. 1917 was a huge favorite going in, and Parasite it shocked a lot of people that year. So
it did.
So that's a great one. I will say, because like you mentioned, right, PTA has not won an Oscar, and obviously neither has Ryan Coogler. I do still think, and I know I don't necessarily have the screenplay ones as specific breakouts here, but I do want to touch about those as well, because there is a chance that they can both still win in those, right? Because Sinners is going to be original and is One Battle.
You're right,
adapted?
and One Battle's adapted, yeah.
So there's a world where, like you said, right, Coogler still wins his Oscar. And so, PTA, they do give him the director. But I'm with you that I don't think that means Sinners can't win Best Picture. So I'm excited to talk about Best Picture now because, again, it's kind of the same debate. But, again, it seems it's really between these two movies. So, David, I got to ask you, one, which one do you think is going to win? And two, if you had the choice, who are you picking?
I'm going with One Battle After Another that I think will win. I, as mentioned at the top, like I do talk to a lot of actors and people in the Academy, and it's like purely anecdotal, and it's stupid to predict for this reason because there's like 10,000 members of the Academy. But in like the amount of years that I've covered the Oscars, I have never had one movie come out more than one battle after another. Jennifer Lawrence told me it was her favorite movie. Kate Hudson told me it was her favorite movie nominated. Like people who are influential, right, within the industry, who talk to other people, who people listen to, love that movie. And that's true for Sinners as well to an extent, but not in my, informal, whatever, random science polling, not to the same degree. The Academy uses what's called a preferential ballot. That's how they determine only for Best Picture. So it's ranked choice. So a movie that is higher on more ballots tends to win out. A more divisive movie tends not to. I haven't heard a lot of divisiveness about one battle. Sinners, it is a vampire movie. It is playing with genre in a way. It's a huge success, and I think it's an amazing movie. But it is a movie that has, it's more likely to be at the bottom of some ballots. I think it's safe to say. So the emotional choice is probably Sinners, and that tends to win out sometimes too. Something like Coda, or again, as mentioned, Parasite. So that's the argument for it, and it's a really strong one. I'm just kind of, it's hard for me at this point to not go with one battle, just kind of on how I followed this season, and it's won pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I am a lifelong, probably started watching his movies when I was way too young, Paul Thomas Anderson fan. And so I am also personally voting for one battle because I want to see that guy win an Oscar.
Yep. So I'm glad you said that because I'm with you. I do think one battle after another is going to win. I will say I did like Sinners more because what's funny with Sinners is like kind of what I mentioned earlier. I'm not a horror movie guy, right? So I actually didn't see Sinners initially because I'm like, oh, it's a vampire or whatever. Like, maybe it's just not for me. And then everyone was talking about how good it was. And it's like, yeah, it's a vampire movie, but it's like way more than that. I finally saw it, and it is definitely worth the hype. So I hope it does get some love. And listen, one battle after another, everyone does seem to love it. Like it's one of those that I think right when it came out, everyone kind of just like circled it as like, yep, we found our winner. So I would be shocked if it doesn't. I will say I do want to give 2 shout outs here in the sense of movies that will not win. One of them, I've already talked about how much I love Timothée Chalamet. I really did love Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme was my favorite movie last year. It was my number 1 on my list. I really did love that movie. I love the Safdie's chaotic, crazy style, uncut gems, good time. Like for me, I just like I'm in my seat, just like I don't even know what to do, and I don't know. I love it.
Right.
But the other one I got to give a shout out to, which I saw late, and I absolutely loved it, was Train Dreams. I know.
Good.
It's so good. It is so good. I didn't even know what to expect. A buddy of mine, I did, this thing where I asked my friends their favorite movie of the year, and most people said F1, right? The big blockbuster.
Yeah.
And I loved F1. I thought it was great. But a lot of people were saying F1, and one of my friends goes, Train Dreams. I'm like, what is that? This is like before any of the nominations or anything. Right. And I checked it out, and it was incredible. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Train Dreams. And if there's any other on this list that isn't getting the love that it deserves, not that it will win, but I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about most of these movies. I will just say with Train Dreams too, I hope it wins the cinematography the Oscar. We may talk about that category in a sec, but it's just beautiful. A movie that is very much not for everybody, and I know a lot of people who don't like it, but I really love The Secret Agent. I think it's like this crazy 70s throwback, very unusual movie that I can't stop thinking about. I just watched it for the second time on Hulu. I think it could win international. Like it can pop up in some places, but it's a really strong movie. And yeah, I love Hamnet too, but I think we'll get our Jessie Buckley moment, so that's okay.
For sure. Well, with that, David, we will go into our quote-unquote speed round because I do want to highlight some of these other awards. All right, and I know I'm going to skip the writing because we kind of touched upon it in the directors. I did want to ask you, I think this is a new category, the casting category, the casting one?
First time.
Is that for the actual like casting directors, or is it just like a like a best cast award? Like what is that? What is that?
So yeah, this is the first Oscars new category in a really long time. And it is very specific for a casting director, because the whole point of the Oscars, awesome. When you're watching the Oscars and you're like, my God, there's a lot of categories here. The whole project of it is that they're representing all aspects of filmmaking, right? From the top to the bottom, from the script to the edit. And casting is like a really important part, and it's never been recognized. And if you talk to a lot of directors, they will say that the work with the casting director is the first thing they do. And it is like often where a movie takes shape. So finally they're doing it. The nominations are decided by the casting branch, meaning a very small group part of the Academy, the casting directors who are a part of the Academy, and now everybody votes for it. And so to your question, I think what's interesting about it is what people think the award is for. Because, there are some Oscar voters who are not necessarily fully informed on this stuff either, right?
Some of them weren't even watching all the movies up until a couple years ago when people started calling them out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how all the 10,000 plus voting body decides what best casting is, when really only a small group of casting directors can speak to what that art is and what it means to do that, is going to be interesting. The front runner is Sinners, for a couple reasons. We talked about how great that cast is, but the casting director, Francine Maisler, is like a legend. And she has, she's like the person who discovered Jeremy Strong, and she's done all these amazing things over the years and cast all these TV shows, and, works with a lot of your favorite directors. Awesome. So she will probably be the first person to win this award, but we'll see.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. And speaking of, I think it's next year, or is that maybe a different award show I'm talking about? Are they doing the stunts one in the Oscars, right? They're doing best stunts?
Yes, finally.
Tom Cruise should have 50 Oscars.
Not next year, but I think it's the 100th Oscars in a couple of years.
Okay.
They're going to bring it in.
Tom Cruise should have 50 Oscars, okay? Because because he should be winning for stunts. But
he'll get it.
All right, cool. So next one, we've got animated feature film. Who you got coming out of it?
K-pop Demon Hunters.
They're gonna win that one and song, I believe. I would be
Golden.
shocked if they don't win for Golden. I'm actually, so we'll go because obviously I do think they're gonna win song. Now for best original score, who are you going with?
I'm going with Sinners. That's Ludwig Göransson, who's worked with Ryan Coogler for a long time. He did Black Panther. He's won before. He also works with Christopher Nolan. He's kind of like the best composer working right now in film. And I think the Sinners, to your point about it being more than a horror movie, the music is a big reason why. And that surreal montage in the middle where you have these like centuries of musical expression kind of collapsing together is like a perfect example of why the music is so special. Yeah.
And they better show it, unlike the Globes, who did not show, I think, that award. I think it was Globes, right? That didn't show the original
It was
score.
the only award they didn't show.
Literally, it was crazy. Crazy. All right. Who do you have? I'm assuming it's got to be either Secret Agent or Sentimental Value, but for international feature film.
So this is where I am, I think, going on a bit of a limb compared to other predictors. I'm going with Secret Agent. Sentimental Value got a ton of nominations. Has like 4 acting nominations, directing, writing. Clearly, all these different aspects of the Academy really liked it, but the passion for The Secret Agent is really strong. And I do not underestimate the power of Brazil when it comes to Oscar momentum. They are so enthusiastic online, and the way that just last year I'm Still Here came from behind, seemingly out of nowhere to win that award, I would not count out The Secret Agent from doing the same.
I love it. All right, so now we'll move on to some of the technical ones. Visual effects.
Visual effects, I have Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Yeah.
Because nobody does visual effects better than James Cameron.
No.
Even if they're over Avatar, over otherwise.
I know. It's funny because obviously Avatar was one before it came out. The first two have been nominated for Best Picture, and it seems like F1 kind of took that, the quote unquote blockbuster spot. But I still like the third one. I do think the second one is still the best one. But let's see if they.
I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
I really like the third one too, and I was glad it got some love because Wicked for Good, which I don't think is a very good movie.
Don't let Julie hear you that. I'm gonna cut this out from when Julie's listening. But please do.
Andrew's never seen it, so he heard my review. So that was pretty brutal. At least Avatar kind of got a little bit back.
100%. Well, speaking of F1, I'm assuming this would be an F1 one, but maybe I am wrong. Sound.
I'm going F1. Yeah.
Yeah. That one was.
I actually got a chance to interview that sound team, and it is crazy, like the way that they were doing real life sound mixing at actual Formula One races, like, and integrating that in with the shoot. Like, it's crazy what they did. Yeah. So it would be crazy if it lost.
I'm with you. It's something you mentioned earlier, right? Like, especially around the casting category and the fact that the Oscars is about recognizing everybody, and the fact that I don't think, and I hope more people do. I think more and more people are learning that, but like the amount of people that it takes to make not only just a movie, but like something like just the sound editing and sound mixing, like that is like you mentioned, like that's such a crazy, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, I guess it's just crazy work, like what they put into it, and to make these little sounds that maybe some people won't recognize, but most people will, right? Like the things that you hear in that movie are incredible. I saw it here in the Dolby, and it's the loudest movie theater in Miami, and that's the place to watch F1. So
you mentioned like a lot of your friends naming that their favorite, and regular moviegoers may not know why that a movie like that hits them as deeply and is as exciting and whatever as it is, but it's because of that stuff, those details that you don't see or hear, but that actually make those big blockbusters feel as like immersive as they are. It's because of thousands of people who are working on that movie.
Yep. Incredible. All right, so then we will go into costume design. Who do you got in costume design?
Costume design, I have Frankenstein. Guillermo del Toro movies tend to do pretty well in the technical categories. Frankenstein is a pretty, the design of that movie is really incredible. And it's just won a lot of the, like the guilds, the equivalents from the actual costume designers in the industry. I think that work is really respected. But it's the kind of thing where Sinners is this big, lavish period movie and a stronger overall contender, so it could win, especially when it's Ruth Carter doing the costumes, and she's such a legend. She did Black Panther and won Oscars for both Black Panther movies, actually, for the costumes.
Sinners could, again, Sinners is could go on a generation.
We're like, it could win 2, it could win 10.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have Frankenstein also for makeup and hairstyling?
Yeah, that one feels
the Frankenstein
especially locked to me.
Exactly, especially just like everything with Jacob Elordi. Although I will say the Smashing Machine is on.
I was going to say we got Smashing Machine in there.
Yeah,
very deserved. Yeah,
very deserved, because I remember when they dropped the first picture of Dwayne Johnson looking like Mark Kerr, because I had the chance to interview Mark Kerr, and we talked about the Smashing Machine.
I
saw, and just talking with him and seeing him, I'm like, again, I'm going to bring it back. He should have been damn nominated, all right?
The hill you will die on.
Yes, that is. All right, the last two I've got here is going to be production design. Who you got?
I got Frankenstein. Same reason,
Okay, cool.
These a couple years ago, Poor Things won this same kind of combo, where it won production design, it won costumes. I think similar to Frankenstein in that way.
All right, and well, the last one is one that we did touch on, but it is cinematography. All right, and I'm with you. I think it should be Train Dreams, but who do you think is going to win?
I think it's going to be One Battle.
Really? I mean, listen,
Yeah.
it's a gorgeous looking movie. I get it. But Train Dreams, oh my God. Some of those shots in Train Dreams are...
It's like a photograph. I mean,
It is.
I really hope, I mean, just because it is nominated for Best Picture, it deserves something. It's nice when more movies get to win. But when you think about shots in One Battle, like the road...
Yeah.
They're just really iconic images. And the cinematographer, Michael Bauman, he's been working with PTA for a number of years. This is actually the first time, despite working on, I think, at least three of his movies now, he's gotten solo cinematography credit on one of his movies because PTA tends to be pretty involved. So I think he will get his moment.
Well, Train Dreams, you're the winner in our hearts.
In our
right?
hearts.
Yeah, exactly.
In our hearts. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, David, before I let you go here, my final question is, in terms of the 2026 slate, right? Obviously, not everything's come out yet. We're just in March. But what movies do you have circled? Maybe 2 to 3 movies that you expect to be here next year?
Well, I'm looking at the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel, prequel, whatever we're calling it, Cliff Booth.
Yes.
Return of David Fincher, written by Quentin Tarantino. Brad Pitt's got a really good cast. Other people like Elizabeth Debicki. Everyone involved there screams Oscar, and the first one was nominated everywhere. The Odyssey.
Yeah, I think that's as big of a... that might be...
Christopher Nolan's last movie did,
won everything.
Won everything. And this one is an insane cast. It's hard to imagine, unless it's like a real flop, it wouldn't at least be nominated. And then let me think of like maybe a more surprising one.
I've got one for you that I don't know if it's on your list, but
throw it to me.
Digger.
That's a great one. That's a great one. Yeah.
I think Digger, because I don't know how true they are, but I've heard they've done like early screenings of it. But I just, in terms of I love Tom Cruise movies, and Tom Cruise teaming up with Inarritu.
It's gonna be wild.
I think it's gonna be a crazy movie.
I have no idea what to expect. I mean, Tom Cruise, one of my favorite performances of his was in a PTA movie in Magnolia. Like, he, back in the day, would work with a lot of different kinds of directors. He hasn't in a while. And Inarritu, who of course won Leo his Oscar for The Revenant, he makes movies his own way. And I too have heard some, tea leaves about this being a really wild performance. I cannot wait. I will say Inarritu's last movie was like a kind of an old school Oscar season bomb, Bardo. It was very expensive. Netflix put all the stops behind it, and it just did not do well. So he's got a little bit of a comeback narrative going for him as well. He won Best Picture for Birdman, so he's the Academy likes him.
I love.
Yeah, Birdman. I mean he's made some amazing movies. So hopefully this one will be in that company.
Yeah, same. And then the last one I had. I fully expect Dune. I think it's Dune either 3 or Messiah. I don't know what the final name is, but Dune. The first 2 were nominated. Denis Villeneuve is incredible. I hope obviously it's just as good as the last 2, but I expect Dune 3 to be there too.
I hope they nominated him. He's not been nominated for director for the Dune movies, which is crazy.
And oh my God, in terms of working directors, obviously like Nolan, is the one that I think most people would recognize as like, probably one of the best right now, and PTA is another one. But man, Denis does not get the respect he deserves. I mean, he outside of the Dune movies, I mean, Sicario, a movie like Prisoners, like I don't think I've ever felt so like anxious in my life like that.
I don't even like thinking about that experience of watching.
Exactly. Like his time is coming. Arrival, he's so good.
Yeah, he was nominated for Arrival. That was his one nomination.
Good. Well, David, seriously, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome. I hope you had as fun a time as I did, all right?
This was a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
I am excited for Sunday, and please let the people know where they can find your work.
You can find me at THR.com. You can find me on X/Twitter, David Canfield 97. So read along.
Hell yeah. Thank you, David.
Thanks for having me.